Okay, P Street Garage, and today I'm going to be working on my $500 Civic. This is actually my daughter's car, and what I'm going to do today is I'm going to do a little at-home transmission service. Again, this is the car that we picked up a little over 2 years ago. We got this car for $500. And the reason why it was so cheap is that, well, it needed a little bit of work. And basically the previous owner had abandoned this car because they were quoted $4,700 to get this car back on the road by a garage. So I made a video about that at the time, about how you should always get a second opinion when you buy a used car. They would have been completely hosed, so they decided not to spend that money and sold me the car for $500. And with a little bit of sweat equity and a few parts, I got this car back on the road for about $700. So that was 2 years ago. And just recently you saw me do the front brakes on this car, and that's because we had to put this car through another inspection. And we did. And a little over 2 years after we initially bought this car, the car did pass its safety inspection, and it is road legal for another 2 years. Now it's not perfect. It's an old car. It's a 2008. It does have 400 and let's see if we can find that. 423,000, almost 424,000 kilometers. So as I was saying, we got the car through an inspection again. It did need a little bit of work this time. I got no footage of that, but it needed a small section of exhaust and an inner tie rod end. Sorry, yes, an inner tie rod end. I think on the driver's side. Anyway, that work is all done. The car is road legal for 2 more years. Now, they did mention to me that there's a little bit of a leak at the transmission filter. These cars have an external transmission filter, and I bought one from Rock Auto. So we're going to open that up, and I'm going to attempt to do a transmission service at home. I've never done one on a Honda Civic, so let's see how this goes. Just get the car pulled in there where it's warm, and we'll start on that. Okay, so I got the car on the ramps. I got everything set up here, ready to go. And again, transmission service on these cars, as far as I know, and I've did a little bit of reading on this. If you were to take your car to the dealer, apparently this is what they do. They replace this filter and they go underneath to the drain pan, and they'll drain off about 3 liters of transmission fluid and then top it back up. Obviously, the transmission holds a lot more than just the 3 liters, but apparently this is considered a service. That's what I'm going to do on this car. Now, there is a bit of a dilemma here on a car this old. Should I be changing the transmission fluid? The transmission fluid, I'm going to reach down here and grab the stick. So this car is high mileage. The transmission fluid is dark. It's quite dark. Now, if I was to ask 50 people or 100 people, should I change, should you change this fluid or should you leave it? Probably half would say that you should never change it. Then the other half would say that, yes, go ahead and change it because it's got a lot of wear material in it and it's starting to deteriorate. So I'm not really sure what the right answer is. The garage that did my inspection, they indicated to me again, as I mentioned, this little filter, which lives somewhere under here. It does have a leak, so I want to address that. And at the same time, I thought I would, freshen up a little bit of this fluid. I got the proper stuff for Honda. I bought it at Honda. This was not cheap. These were $17 or $18 a jug, so pretty expensive stuff, but again, I'm going to try to use the proper product. The shop that did my inspection and found my leak told me that not changing your fluid when it was old, they said that's just an old wives' tale. So I've heard a lot about this. So that is the debate. Do you change it or do you not change it? I'm going to go ahead and change it. And I mean, again, this is just a partial change. So the car does shift perfectly. But I mean, this fluid is not looking good. So I'm going to go ahead and do it. And whatever happens, happens. Let me know what you guys think. All right, let's start digging into this thing now. Okay, so I got the top half of my air cleaner off. There's 2 bolts that hold the air cleaner housing down, one in each corner here. They're 10 millimeter. Now this is loose, but I see that back here there's a clamp. That looks like a Phillips head, and then there's a hose that needs to be pulled off there. I'm just going to squeeze this off with some pliers. And the air inlet hose here, I just pull this off. There's no clamp or nothing, it just kind of slips over. So let me wrestle these out and we'll see if we can lift this out. Okay, so this air box was a little bit tougher to come out than really what I was expecting. There is a hose clamp here. That's what gave me the most grief because it was stripped. And there's a little piece of hose here. So this and this go on to this and this. This one's easy. Just got to squeeze the clamp, pull it out of the way. This one here gave me a lot of grief because the head, if you can see that, it's blurry, but the Phillips is pretty much chewed up, corroded. I'm going to replace it just with a generic hose clamp. I think that'll work just fine. It's plenty big, and I can just squeeze that on there with a big old flathead. Also, this little part here, there's a little bit of a retainer clip on here. This was the last thing. Once I had everything disconnected, I kind of had to wrestle with this, so I just put the pliers on here, and I pinched and I lifted this up. And this basically attaches, where is it? It lands underneath here somewhere. It's a means of attaching. It attaches to this hose back here somehow. Can't even really see it right now. Where was it? Maybe, no. Anyway, it was clipped on. Maybe just to the hole. I'm not even sure. To be honest with you, this was right behind. It was clipped together. And I don't know if you guys can see. I can't even really see what it was attached to, but I did have to pull it off. And I'm going to move in a little bit more now. This filter that I want to get to is right there. So you got some hoses here, maybe some radiator coolant hoses maybe. Anyway, I got to get to this. The filter is down in there. And very hard to see. There it is. There's the filter there. There's a clamp on each side, so I'm just going to squeeze and pull it off. And there is a clamp that holds that filter. That's held on with a 10mm bolt. So let me get that out and I'll try to pull this filter out and see what it looks like, and we'll get the new one in place. Okay, so I managed to get a light on. I got a light installed right here, so I might be able to see a little bit better. I pushed this hose out of the way. This one is right in, God, what an awkward location. And this one doesn't have a lot of give, but if I pull this back, you can see the filter a lot better. It's pretty rusty. I think right there on top, right there, is the 10mm bolt. Oh, can't even get a phone in there to take a peek. So let me get the wrench in there. I'll try to unspin that that stud or bolt or whatever it is, and we'll have a look at that. There's my 10mm on there. Coming up pretty good, all things considered. So let's see, in fact, if this thing was leaking. Maybe it was a hose, maybe it was this. Okay, I think I'm almost there. Okay, there's that bolt. Now, this should... Not even sure 100% what this looks like. Okay, my hand's a little bit wet. Maybe it was leaking. My bracket's coming off. It's gonna... Okay, I'll have to get two hands on this. It's loosened off, probably where I pushed that hose out of the way. It's binding up on that side. All right, this calls for two hands. Give me a sec, I'll pull this out. Okay, so I got my old filter out. There's the old filter. There's the new one. Looks like a good match. Here's my hoses, and I was not able to film that. There was just absolutely no way. I got this clamp pulled back. It's just a simple rubber hose, and it slips on the end. But the problem is it's just so hard to get to. Not so much this one, but this one back here. This one was a real bugger, the one on the bottom. It's way down there, and you got to squeeze this old rusty clip. I don't know if I'm going to reuse these or not. I'm going to try. If not, I might get some regular. I'm going to try to reuse them. If I just can't get to them, especially this one here, it's twisted on the other side. I had to rotate the hose and hold it while I squeeze the prongs. Anyway, got it out. This here is the bracket. It's just kind of like a half moon thing that hooks onto one side. And then the 10mm bolt goes through here. You don't have to take this off. This can stay hooked. This can stay hooked on this side. I just took it off because for accessibility. I'm going to try to insert this filter in now. I'm going to try to put this in and see how that goes. Okay, well, I got my new filter in place. I'm not gonna lie, I probably spent about 20 minutes off camera wrestling with those spring-loaded clips, especially that bottom one. It's just really hard to get to. Anyway, that's all back in place. The bracket's back in. Let's put the rest of this air box in, make our connections, and then we'll get underneath and we'll drain off some transmission fluid. Okay, I'm underneath the car on the front, a little bit towards the driver's side. There's the transmission plug, and you can simply take this off with a 3/8 drive ratchet. I've already loosened this because it was so tight that I thought I broke my ratchet. I'll try to get back in there. Yeah, it's loose now, so let's hopefully I can spin this by hand now. And according to everything that I've read, I should get about 3 quarts or 2 3/4 quarts of this transmission fluid. Hopefully it's black. Well, it's going to be black. Hopefully about 3 liters or 3 quarts come out, and I can top up with some fresh stuff. Now, because this car is a little bit wet underneath, you can see there's a few leaks, and where that filter was leaking, maybe there's going to be a little bit less than the 3 quarts, but I think I'm going to put the 3 quarts in, and this certainly is looking black. Very black. Okay, let's look again in a minute. Okay, well that's still draining there. I'm going to let that go. This plug, 3/8 plug, like I mentioned, it's fitted with a little magnet. So I'm just gonna, you can just see that any little filings or debris, the magnet picks up. So There's a little bit of blackness on here. I don't think it's anything abnormal. Anyway, we'll clean this back up. Yeah, I would say that's abnormal. And certainly wouldn't be out of the question for a car with over 400,000. Okay, we got this cleaned up. Let's put this back in. There is a torque spec for this. I'm just going to snug it up. I think the torque spec is it's like 35 or 40 foot-pounds. Anyway, I'm going to snug this back up. I don't think I'll ever take this out again. I don't know, maybe. And then we will add our 3 quarts right in through where the dipstick is. All right. Okay, well, I got my plug back in. Here's my fluid. You know, she's black. It's very black. And like I said, is it an old wives' tale? I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. We'll go for a spin after. If the transmission's slipping like crazy, then yeah, you shouldn't do this. If it's good, then I think it'll do the transmission some good. Good clean fluid, better lubrication, better cooling, all that good stuff. All right, now, does that look like about 3 quarts? The service, I believe, calls for 3 quarts, or 3 liters. I'm in Canada, so we work in liters. So there's one. I'm going to put 2 more down, put the dipstick back in. We'll take the car outside and we'll go for a spin, see how she shifts. So I'm out on my test drive. Everything seems good. The car's shifting smooth. I'm going to take it on the highway here. No problem at all. Smooth as butter.